Kidding? Just one shot?
They're not all zombies, Doug. How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back.
It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get there.
Ooh, I love this song. I'm hung up in a grave situation.
And now we come to the thrilling final episode of our radio drama.
Hello and welcome to episode 223 of the Rotten Views podcast. Thank you everyone for showing up for another new episode. I feel like it's been a little bit of a time since we did the last episode. I know it hasn't been, actually. It's been probably like 5 days actually since we recorded the last episode. I just feel like I'm getting a little bit behind on things, but that's probably just my general feeling on pretty much everything in life. It's probably just this time of year, to be honest with you. It's December, Christmas is fast approaching. If you don't have your shit together, you might want to get moving now. But before we do get into all that fun stuff, I just want to say thank you for everyone who's been returning to the podcast, for all the new listeners for the podcast, everyone who's been sharing the podcast, checking out the YouTube channel, checking out the Instagram, checking out the TikTok, and everything else. It does mean a lot to me, and I do appreciate it. So before we get into the movie at hand, let's do a little bit of housekeeping, just like we like to do every single week.
Housekeeping?
Don't think you're sleeping.
Housekeeping?
Could you come back in an hour?
Housekeeping, you want towel?
More towels. Need sleepy.
Housekeeping, you want mint for pillow?
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
If you guys could, it would mean a lot if you do share the podcast. I don't know if you guys are listening on Spotify. If you are, feel free to leave a star rating. I'm not going to ask you for a 5-star rating. I'm going to just ask you for whatever star rating you feel it deserves. If you feel like it deserves a 5, I appreciate it. 4, that's pretty cool too. 3, that's alright. A 1, what are you still doing here? I'm kidding. If you think the episode or the podcast in general deserves a 1, feel free to leave it. I'm just going to curse you for the rest of your life, but that's besides the point. If you're listening on Apple or iTunes or whatever that crap is, feel free to leave a review and I'll read it at some point in time when I log back into it. I don't go there often at all. If you're on CastBox, I don't know if there's a review option there. I really don't. And on any of the other podcast platforms, if there's a review option, or feel free to leave one. If not, just hit that share button, because sharing the podcast does help a lot. Just share it, once a week. Just a little bit of sharing goes a long way, especially with this time of year. It's Christmas time. I don't really care that much for it. I care for it for the fact for my daughter, and I want her to have a good Christmas. But aside from that, it's just about watching some holiday themed movies, having a nice meal, and spending time with family and friends. That's it. I don't care about the whole present aspect of things. I really don't care about that. But enough of talking about Christmas and all that kind of crap. Feel free to follow me on all social media accounts. All the links are down below, but you can find us at Typhon Sign on pretty much every site. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube. YouTube being the main thing there. Go check out the YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. That way you get notified every time I post a new video, because we drop a new gaming video every single Wednesday. I have various shorts over there as well. You can check out the numerous amounts of art shorts. We also do live streams over there. I did a couple live streams. For some reason, they've been cutting out. They lag out after a while, and then they just cut the stream. So we've also been streaming on Twitch. So definitely go check out the Twitch channel as well, because you can see more content for free over there. But once we do hit 1,000 subs on the YouTube channel, which we're getting closer and closer each week, I'm going to be giving away some free artwork. So definitely go hit the subscribe button over there. That way you might get the chance, once we hit 1,000 subs, to win some free artwork. We've also been posting a lot of artwork on the Instagram and the Facebook page as well, and the YouTube page. I'm still doing my weekly drawings for my daughter each and every single day that she goes to either school or daycare, whatever it might be. I sneak in a drawing into her lunch that she doesn't know about. And it's been like 3 or 4 weeks of just Lilo and Stitch stuff because she's got a real big Lilo and Stitch kick right now. And I'm okay with it because there's like 500 and some different experiments in the Lilo and Stitch universe. And it's really hard to find references for like what some of these characters look like. So I'm doing my damn best at it. And it's pretty fun. And I'm enjoying it. I enjoy that, like, what is it, mid-2000s Disney art style. It's something different, something fun. So we got some other artwork coming out as well. Been doing some animal portraits. I got a bunch of more animal portraits to do. We got a Grizzly Adams piece coming up as well. I got some wrestling pieces coming up, some horror pieces. I got to do some more scary movie related movie pieces. And at some point in time, I still do want to start that series where I was doing a single drawing based on the movies that I do for the podcast. But that's like, I don't know what I was thinking there. I don't have time. I don't know what time. The concept of time is eluding me because I sleep like 4 hours a night, to be honest with you. And I've added something else to the ever-growing schedule of my life. I decided to start getting back in shape and working out again. So every night I'm spending about 45 minutes an hour working out. I don't know where this time is coming from, but I'm feeling good about it. At least I feel better than I have in a while. So that's we're working on a stronger mind and a stronger body and less sleep, because you can sleep when you're dead, right? That's a good point of view, right? Right? I'm not crazy. I mean, deep down inside, we're all a little bit crazy because being normal is boring, and nobody wants to be boring in life because you only live once, so you might as well be a little bit loopy. Anyways, enough of that housekeeping crap. It's just rant and tangent and all this other crap. Let's get into the movie at hand today. We're watching a movie from 2007 called P2. It's got 5.9 out of 10 on IMDb, 35% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 5.9 out of 10 on Prime Video. 83% of Google users have enjoyed this movie. Runtime is 1 hour and 38 minutes. Apparently the budget was $3.5 million. The description, as read on IMDb, I don't know why I said that so slowly, as a businesswoman is pursued by a psychopath after being locked in a parking garage on Christmas Eve. Pretty straightforward, right to the point. So we're at that point in time in the podcast where we discuss the director and writers and whatnot, and where I decide to butcher someone's name, or multiple people's names. And this one person that we're going to butcher to start with is the director, who's also credited for writing this movie. His name is Franak Kalfon. I don't have any idea how to pronounce that properly, and we're okay with that. But yeah, he was the director for 2012's Maniac. He was the Deputy Green in 2010's Piranha 3D. He was also producer for a movie in 2021 called Oxygen. As well, he was the director for 2019's Prey. As well, in 2023, he has a movie called Night of the Hunted. And 2009, I've heard this movie before, but I never actually watched it. He did a movie called Wrong Turn in Tahoe. Now we also have two other writers to talk about for this movie. One of them being Alexandre Aja. I probably butchered that last name as well, but that's fine. He was also the director for 2010's Piranha 3D. In 2003, he directed the movie called Switchblade Romance. In 2006, he was the director for The Hills Have Eyes remake. As well, in 2019, he was the director for the movie Crawl. If you guys haven't seen Crawl, I definitely highly recommend checking it out. It's flooding in I think Florida or Louisiana, one of the two, and gators are coming through this home where people are trying to, salvage some of their belongings. Essentially is what the premise of the movie is. And if you haven't seen The Hills Have Eyes remake in 2006, definitely go check that out because I love that movie. And the other writer we're going to talk about for this movie is Gregory Levasseur. I most likely butchered that as well. He was the writer for 2008 Mirrors. He was the writer, or actually, he was second unit or assistant director in 2019 for Crawl, as well as second unit or assistant director for 2021's Oxygen. He also worked on the screenplay in 2006 for the Hills Have Eyes remake. So, he's got some pretty good movies under his belt as well. It seems like these are a crew of people that all work together, which makes sense. Alright, so the two cast members that we're going to discuss are the two leads, or what I'm assuming are billed as the two leads. The first one being Rachel Nichols, who's playing Angela. She was Scarlet in 2009's G.I. Joe, Rise of the Cobra. She played Lisa in 2005's The Amityville Horror, as well as Vanessa Maguire in 2014's Rage, which I know nothing about. She's also in 42 episodes from 2012 to 2015, where she plays Kira Cameron in a TV series called Continuum. I butchered that as well, but that's okay. It doesn't look like an interesting TV show at all. But that's just my personal opinion. But she's also in 5 episodes in 2019, where she plays Martha in the series The Man in the High Castle. The next cast member we're going to talk about is Wes Bentley. Finally, a name I can pronounce perfectly fine, who's playing the character Thomas. He's best known for being Ricky Fitz in 1999's American Beauty. He was in 2012's Hunger Games playing Seneca Crane. He was Doyle in 2014's Interstellar. He's also in 52 episodes of Yellowstone playing Jamie Dutton. I know Yellowstone, like I know the TV show, but I haven't actually watched a single episode of all of it, so I don't know who that character is at all. He's also in 25 episodes of The American Horror Story, where he plays Dylan, Ambrose White, and John Lowe. I stopped watching that TV show after like season 2 or 3, so I don't know any of those characters as well. So yeah, go me, I guess. So we're now at that point in the podcast where I'm going to tell you now, if you don't want to be spoiled on a movie that came out in 2007, feel free to pause the podcast now. Go watch it on Amazon Prime, because you can watch it on there for free. If not, sit back, relax, listen to me talk about the movie, and I'll either make you really want to watch the movie, or you'll probably just be content with listening to me talk about the movie and kind of understand what's going on and probably not want to watch the movie. So this is your warning. This is your last warning. So feel free to pause it now if you need to. If not, sit back, get some treats, get some snacks, get some healthy stuff. I don't know, some peanuts, some rice cakes, I don't know, whatever you want. If you're at work, hopefully this helps you get through the day. If you're in the car, listen to this. Thank you, but keep your eyes on the road at all times, please. We don't need any more accidents, especially at this time of year. So let's keep everything safe, and everyone gets home alive. All right. So we're gonna get started on the podcast right now.
Presents Saturday Night at the Movies, the television series which each week brings you the finest in recent motion pictures. Tonight.
Hi, Mom. You're not gonna believe what happened.
Angela, are you calling me from work?
Believe me, I can't wait to get out of here and see you guys.
Please don't be any later.
I promise, I won't. What am I gonna do?
Angela, are you okay? I didn't mean to scare you.
What happened to my clothes?
Yeah.
What do you want?
I've seen you drive out of here so many times. It's strange being with you. It's great, actually.
Anyone can hear me. Someone's trying to kill me. Merry Christmas.
So our movie started. Now we see the intro credits starting to come in, and we just see undercar garage, and we just see a big beam with the parking station number P2 painted on one of the pillars. And we see a car parked off in the garage somewhere. We hear, Santa Baby playing. Santa Baby's just playing. Just that way we know we're watching an actual Christmas movie at this point in time. If we slowly come closer and closer to this, what I assume is a BMW car. But nobody seems to be in it at all. And then we get closer to the back of the car and we're looking at the trunk. We see where the keyhole is. And out of nowhere, the keyhole gets pushed out. A screwdriver comes out. We see an eyeball. And then we hear a girl screaming. The trunk pops open and her hands are coming out and she's got like handcuffs on. And then we cut to what we assume is Angela on the headpiece phone on I don't know what floor of this goddamn building. Probably like the 30th floor. And she's just, doing a business meeting. Then Jody comes in to cut off her conversation, being like, Harper wants to see you in the office. She's like, oh, great, that's just what I need now. Just make my Friday night even better. And then as Angela's typing up on the computer, this gym guy comes in. He's like, I'm really sorry. I don't know what happened. I feel like a real jerk. She's like, it's okay. It's, don't worry about it. I'll just keep working here, working my night away, just, I don't have no life. Then we see this nice panning city shot of all the, skyscrapers, a bunch of lights on. We're looking inside a bunch of these office spaces and there's nobody there. And then we pan inside the building and of course we see Angela still working even though it's late at night, and then she gets spooked by a random guy. And he's like the security guy. He's like, I was just locking up the floors. I didn't know anybody was actually working here this late that night. He's like, I'll leave it here. I'll go check out the other rooms and start locking them up, and we'll be okay. And Angela's like, no, actually, I should probably get going. I got stuff to do, so I'll just lock up my office, and then we can take off. And then we find out that Angela's supposed to be going to her sister's house in Jersey. And the guy's like, I thought you'd be like an Upper Maine style person, a little bit fancier, I don't know what Upper Maine. Then Angela leaves that elevator to go to a different elevator to go down to the parking garage. And her phone's ringing and it's her sister. She's like, yeah, I know, I'm going. I'm on my way, don't worry. And then as she gets to the P2 floor of the parking garage, she loses all service in her phone. Convenient, right? And of course, there's only one car that's parked in this parking garage and she's walking to it, and it's the same BMW that we saw at the beginning of the movie. And then we see this little hatchback driving by her. I'm assuming it's just someone else that works in the building that's just leaving at the same point in time. But of course, Angela gets in her car, gets her stuff inside the car, and she tries to turn it on and turn it over, but there's no power to the car at all. It's trying to start, kind of, but really not at all, to be honest with you. It does a little rev here and there, and then she just starts freaking out, being like, of course, it's Christmas Eve, of course something's gotta go wrong. She goes back to the door that she came through to go to the parking garage, but of course that door is now locked, and now she's freaking out, being like, great, now I'm locked inside the parking garage and I have no service on my phone. But yet there's like a minivan and I think one or two other cars I saw while she's walking through the parking garage. And then she walks up to this little spot inside the parking garage. That must be like the security's office, because then this Rottweiler comes at her and the security guard walks out. He's like, Rocky, heel, steal, stay down. I'm sorry about that. I wasn't expecting anyone to come in. And she's like to the security guard, she's like, can you unlock the door to the elevator so I can get upstairs to call for help, to get someone to come get me? And he's like, yes, let me look for my key card. I kind of lost it somewhere, don't know where I actually put it. I'm sure it's around here somewhere. I just gotta search a bunch of these desks to find. I was going to do my rounds soon anyway, so it's convenient. I believe the security guard is Thomas that we were discussing earlier in the movie, and he's like, yeah, you're gonna be waiting a while if you're trying to get a taxi cab, to be honest with you, because it's Christmas Eve and all, and they're pretty busy probably. So he takes her back to her car. He has a little booster box, being like, we'll try and get your car started. So he plugs it in, and he's like, all right, try turn it on, and it just makes the same sound. He's like, can you try your headlights, see if they work? And of course, headlight works. So he's like, that's strange. I don't know why your car's not getting enough power to turn on. It does make sense. I was just trying to help you out to try and make it easier for you instead of getting a taxi cab at this point in time in the hour of the night. And as they're walking back to the elevator, he's like, I know it's Christmas time and stuff. You should be thankful. I know your car's not starting at all, but it's at least you got somewhere to go for Christmas, right? And then as he's getting ready to unlock the door, he's like, I prepared a little Thanksgiving meal for myself. If you want to join me and stuff, that'd be cool. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I could call you a cab if you really want to. Merry Christmas. See you later, lady. So Angela gets back to the main floor lobby area where the security guard should be, and his name is Carl. Of course it's Carl. Why wouldn't it be Carl? Anyways, Carl's not at his desk. She's like, Carl, where'd you go, Carl? Shouldn't you be here watching and everything? So Angela calls her sister and be like, you won't believe what happened. I'm not running late. My car actually won't start. So yeah, I'm actually running late, but I'll make it up to them. I'll probably be like an hour or so. I'm assuming it's like family or kids maybe that she's got to make it up to. But anyways, then she's sitting on this bench waiting for her taxi cab to show up. And it's kind of like she's falling asleep. And then we see someone's watching from like a security camera by the looks of it. And then we see the taxi cab slowly starting to pull up outside the building. And she's being woken up by her phone going off, which is just the taxi cab driver or the company calling, being like, hey, your cab's outside, you want to hurry up? And then she goes to leave the building, but of course that front door is locked and she can't get out. So she's trying to get out. She goes to the security office and buzzes for Carl to show up, but Carl's nowhere to be seen. So then she starts banging on the glass, trying to get the taxi cab's attention, being like, give me 1 second, and I will be out, I promise. So then she grabs all her stuff again and goes back to where the other security guard was supposed to be, and he starts buzzing him, being like, can you let me outside? I can't, my taxi cab's outside. And then she hears the taxi beeping or honking his horn. I don't know why it's beeping. And then she's looking up the parking garage driveway, and we see the taxi cab driving away. And then as she's grabbing her stuff again, she's in the underground parking garage, and all the lights slowly start to turn off, and she starts screaming, being like, hey, wait, I'm still in here, don't be turning the lights off, please. And then as she's walking through the parking garage, she's using the only form of light that she has. She opens up her flip cell phone and starts walking through the parking garage to try and get back to somewhere else that has actual lights. And then she hears someone off in the distance, like a pipe moving on the ground, and be like, hello? Anybody there? Then as she's walking through the parking lot, I'm not sure what she trips on, but she trips on something and falls face first onto her bags. Her phone goes sliding underneath in their car. And then she, grabs her phone and picks it up to her face. And then behind her, we see Thomas, the security guard, and he just puts a rag over her face and she starts to scream. And he's just trying to make her calm down. But of course, it's not going to work out because, if you go to, suffocate somebody or make them pass out, probably has some chloroform on it, make them go Betty bye, they're going to freak out a little bit. And then we see a very dazed and confused Angela slowly starting to wake up, and the only thing she sees in front of her is Thomas fully dressed up in a Santa outfit, being like, ho ho ho, Merry Christmas. And then he takes off the beard and the hat. He's like, hey, you're okay. You're not looking so great. You fell and you got a little hurt. And you're in a white dress now. And you got red lipstick on. And you look different, but that's okay. And then Angela goes to get up to run away from the table. And she's handcuffed to the end of the table leg. And just sitting in the chair now. And she's pulling out that chain that's on her leg. And it's not going anywhere because it's wrapped around that table really well. And then Tom's like, hey, you hungry? I got some turkey. Got some stuffing stuff. I know you just got sick on the floor and stuff, but you should probably eat. Oh, also sorry for the Santa outfit. I was just trying to trick you. Now, Angela's finally noticing that she's in a white dress now, not the clothes that she was wearing. She's like, so, what happened to my clothes? He's like, you fell, your clothes got dirty, so I figured I'd undress you and dress you in a white dress. And we see Thomas opening some champagne or whatnot. And he's like, this is pretty fancy champagne, if I do say so myself. So where you from, Angela? Huh? Where you from? He's like, I just want you to relax and tell me everything about your life and where you're from, just so I know where to go looking for you if you ever do escape from me. And then Angela's like, so, Tom, just so we're clear, I got places I gotta be. I got, other appointments and stuff. I got some stuff I gotta do because I gotta live my life. And he's like, yeah, I know you're a busy lady. You just gotta make some time, some personal time for yourself. Just gotta sit back, relax, eat a nice meal, have some company of a nice guy. So then Thomas starts asking her about her hobbies and stuff. She's like, I'd like to read. I've been reading this story about Hemingway and how, this guy was really in love with this girl and he would do anything for this girl. And then Angela's like, Tom, my boyfriend's gonna get worried if I don't show up soon and he's gonna come looking for me. And then Tom's expression on his face just completely changes. He's not happy now. He's like, so how long you been together? Have you guys slept together? What's going on? I thought you were single. I didn't think you were with anyone. I didn't think you were committed with anyone. So then Angela starts giving some information about her boyfriend and how he works at the Post. He's a sports analyst and journalist and whatnot. And Tom's like, I read the Post. I don't remember his name being mentioned in the Post. And so yeah, it's the online edition only. It's not the actual print edition. It's the online edition only that he actually writes for. And Thomas sits beside her and he's like, you haven't been really talkative since we met. So either we become best friends really quickly, or you're lying to me about your boyfriend this whole damn time, just to try and make me a little bit worried that some random guy was going to come here looking for you. And then Thomas is like, you got a really good family. You got, your sister Lorraine and Jimmy. And he starts listing off all these family members. And they're the real names because we can tell on Angela's face she's a little bit freaked out at this point in time. It looks like she's about ready to cry because he knows a lot more about her than, it would seem. So then Thomas puts the phone down in front of Angela and puts it on speakerphone being like, so you better call your family now and just tell them that your plans have changed because I know you can lie because you're a really good liar. So let's call them so they don't get worried about you not showing up tonight. So then Angela starts lying being like, I'm not feeling well. I went home because I'm just not feeling well. And that's when the sister's like, well, I thought you said you're already on your way and you got the costume too. So we need the costume. Which I'm assuming is the Santa Claus costume that Thomas was wearing because, he's a creep like that. So then she gets done talking to her family, and Thomas is like, that's the best Christmas present anyone's ever given me ever. I got you a gift too, and gives her a blank VHS tape. So then he puts it into the TV that's up on the filing cabinet. And it's like security footage of her in the elevator talking to certain people. And then it's actually footage of the guy that said sorry earlier in the movie. And it's him with reindeer horns on. And I'm assuming he's drunk because he's really coming on to Angela and she's just pushing him off. And that really pisses Thomas off because he's like, that goddamn creep. So then Thomas is like, what, let's go for a stroll. Let's go, just take a little walk around the parking garage. And he's getting ready to unhandcuff her from the table, and as she's looking around at the table, she sees a fork beside her plate, so she grabs the fork and literally stabs him in the back of the shoulder with it, but he's able to tackle her to the ground, and now she's handcuffed behind her back with her hands, and she's just laying on the floor, and Rocky the dog is just going apeshit crazy because somebody attacked my owner. So then Thomas throws her in the passenger seat of what I'm assuming is his car. He's like, let's throw all that stuff in the past. I know you stabbed me, but it's okay. You're a little bit scared. But hey, let's go take a little drive around the parking garage. And Tom's like, I think I might have drank too much wine. Maybe I shouldn't be driving. I'm just joking. I'm just kidding. So Thomas takes her deeper and deeper, lower and lower into this parking garage. Because I don't know how many floors it goes down below the ground, but it seems like they went an additional 3 to 4 floors down below. And just what are we doing down here, Tom? Tom, I thought you said we were going for a drive, not just farther into the parking garage. So when they then round this corner, we see Jim, the guy that said sorry to her earlier. He's got duct tape on his mouth, and he's duct taped to a computer chair in the middle of the parking lot. And she's like, what are we doing here? And he's like, this is my Christmas present to you. So then Tom is like, here, take this flashlight, which I assume is a flashlight. I just see a black item. I don't know what it is. Might be a billy club for all I know. And he's like, Angela, you take this weapon, go show him that you're not a slut and beat the crap out of him, alright? He tried to do some stuff to you, and, it's not welcomed here, so go beat the crap out of him. So while sitting in this car, we figure out what triggers Thomas. Angela keeps calling him Tom, and she is, repeating his name over, being like, Tom, we can't be doing this. He was just a drunk guy. He said he was sorry. He didn't mean anything bad by it. And the more that Angela says Tom's name, he then has a freak out, being like, I'm not trying to hurt you. Can you just stop saying my name? You're not going to make me think that you're the victim. Stop saying my name. So then Angela's like, okay, Tom, you want to untie me? I'll go out there and I'll go beat him with the thing. And Tom's like, no, I could never ask you to do this. You're a good person. I should never ask you to do this in the first place. I don't know what I was thinking at all. And Tom's like, it's my job to go beat him. And Angela's like, no, please don't do this. He's like, no, it's my job to do it. I trust you? Can I trust you not to run away, Angela? Are you going to stay in the car, Angela? Don't run away, okay? I will get you. So then Tom gets out of the car and gets in Jim's face and being like, you can't talk your way out of this shit. You think you're all good, Harvard, you think you're all fancy. Guess what? You deserve to get your face beaten with this flashlight. And then as he's getting ready to clock Jim with the flashlight, Angela's screaming from the car, please don't do this. You don't need to do this. He doesn't deserve this. Just let him go. He'll be okay. So then Tom starts to walk back towards the car. We think he's going to just leave Jim away, but then he just turns around and literally just starts beating Jim in the face with his flashlight to the point where he's just coated in blood, just gushing out of his skull. And Tom leans in. He's like, way to ruin Christmas, you asshole. So then Thomas gets back in the car and they go to drive away. And Angela's like, no, we can't just leave him here. We can't just leave him in the basement like this as he's bleeding. And he's like, you're right, actually. So then he drives forward and just stops the car right beside him, being like, you know what? We're just going to take him for a little drive. So then he slowly starts pushing Jim through the parking garage, and he literally just rams him up against the wall of the parking garage, and we see like Jim's stomach explode and his intestines start to fall out, and then he's like laying off the side of the chair, and Thomas just puts the car in reverse and just starts ramming the car back into Jim's head, crushing his whole body all up against the wall of the parking garage. Angela's able to get the car door open, and of course she's still handcuffed with her hands behind her back, and she's running away, and Tom's like, hey, where are you going? Where do you think you're going? Come on, liar, you gotta get back here. Come on. We're meant to be together. So we see Angela makes it back to like the security office, and of course the dog's still in there, chained up and barking, like losing his shit. And she goes to pick up the phone, but the phone line is actually cut. And then we look on the camera, and we see that Thomas is still in the basement area of that parking garage. He's moved Jim's body away, but now he's also got skids up against the wall, so I guess you can't see the blood that's all up against the wall, is his idea. And then Angela gets in a tug-of-war match with the dog because the dog grabs her purse, and she knows her flip phone is inside that purse, so she's trying to get the purse back from the dog. She does get it back, though, and gets her phone out of it. We see Angela up against one of the gates that leads to the outside of the parking garage, and she has her phone like through the gate trying to get service, and she finally does get service, but then she hears the dog barking again in the background. So then, of course, being a klutz, she drops her phone on the ground, and then she's trying to reach for it, but it's like just out of the grasp of her fingers, so she can't actually grab it. And then as she's reaching for her phone, she actually drags one of her nails against the pavement, and the whole nail just flips right up, and then she has to rip it off. And as she's ripping the nail off, she then hears Thomas being like, Angela, come out. Don't be hiding, Angela. Come on. Come on. And then her hands get stuck inside the opening of the gate because she still has the handcuffs on. Then as Thomas gets to that gated area, he walks around the corner, and we assume that he's going to see Angela still stuck in the fence, but of course she's now gone. He's like, looks like someone's playing some games with me tonight, eh, Rocky, old Poocho? And we see Angela, she gets to the locked door that leads into the elevator section, and she grabbed a bunch of the key cards from the security office, and she sees the flashlight from Thomas getting closer and closer, and she actually finally swipes the right card. She gets in to the elevator, and then once she's getting out of the elevator, we actually see Thomas and Rocky on the other side. She's like, oh nope, wrong floor, come on, let's go, let's get out of here. Then as she's in the elevator, she keeps pressing buttons and actually gets the elevator stuck, and then she gets to like the security safety call of the elevator, and starts talking to some guy and explaining the whole situation to him. And the guy's like, so did you actually see the guy kill the other guy or the person? And he's like, okay, I'll try and get a hold of the police. And then this whole time it's just Thomas on the other end of that speaker trying to put on this fake accent. He's like, I'm just trying to help you out, Angela. Angela, you there? I'm just trying to help you out. I just want to talk to you. Don't worry about it. So then as Angela's hiding inside the elevator, we then see Thomas opening the floor above. He's putting the fire hose down on top of the elevator, and she hears it, hitting the top of the elevator and is confused. And then the elevator slowly starts to fill with water because Thomas is an asshole and turns the water hose on to try and flood her out, I guess. Then as the elevator's filling up with water, it's getting to the point where it's like over waist deep, and then out of nowhere, Carl's dead body just falls right through the ceiling of the elevator and like tackles her. And then out of nowhere, the elevator door opens up, all the water gushes out, and she just goes slamming up against a wall. Now we see a soaking wet Angela making her way through the underground parking garage, and Thomas is walking around with his flashlight out, being like, Angela, you must be freezing out here. Come on, stop hiding from me. We can be friends. We can be lovers. Come on, Angela. And Thomas looks down, and he can see Angela's wet footprints all through the parking garage, and she's hiding underneath like an SUV. And Tom's like, hey, Angela, I think Carl might be injured. We might need to call him an ambulance so he can get home to see his kids for Christmas, don't you think? Maybe you should come out from wherever you're hiding, Angela. Then we see Angela hiding in a random spot in the parking garage. And then we see Thomas, who's putting some Elvis on the record player that's playing through the whole stereo system at the parking garage. And he's dancing, trying to sing Elvis, being an impersonator. And he's watching the security cameras where he can actually see where Angela is the whole damn time. Angela's getting pretty annoyed listening at the Elvis. So then she goes over to the fire safety axe, like display box, breaks the glass on it, and gets the fire axe out of the container. And then she just goes crazy and starts breaking all the security cameras that she can find. But of course, Thomas is dancing and, doing his fake singing that he's not even realizing that the cameras are going out. Then Angela makes it up to where the security room is that Thomas has been, in the whole time. And she gets closer to the door and slowly pokes the door open, but there's no sign of Thomas at all anywhere. When Angela gets into the room, on the TV playing is a videotape of Thomas actually putting on the makeup and the lipstick on Angela as she was passed out, and, slowly running his fingers down her body. And she's very shocked and worried about the video that she's watching. So then in a moment of rage, Angela gets very pissed off and just destroys that TV, rightfully so. And then she goes to destroy the security camera system, and that's when she then drops the axe because she's looking at the camera, and we see a police officer actually shows up, and she's trying to get a hold of the police officer on the speaker system, and that's when she goes to walk out of the office to go try and get to the police officer, and Thomas is there with a stun gun and literally tasers her and makes her pass out, essentially, from exhaustion. And then we see Thomas slowly trying to clean up the security office as the officer is buzzing to get let inside the building. And Thomas is like, "Hello, officer, how can I help you?" So then we see Thomas, changing his security outfit, and he's looking in the mirror, and he's like, "Oh, wow, there's blood on my face." It's like, And then he finally gets up to where the officer is like, "So, hey, sorry, I was doing my rounds on the bottom floor. How can I help you, officer?" And he's like, "We got a disturbance call about there's someone here. Have you heard anything?" He's like, "No, it's been really quiet here all night. Actually, I haven't seen anyone at all, to be honest with you." So we see Thomas lets the officers in. The officers drop Thomas off at the security station area. And then the officers are driving around, surveying the area a little bit more. And their spotlight hits Angela's car, like the trunk area. And she wakes up and she's inside the trunk because she sees the light kind of glance through the peephole or the lock hole, I guess. And Thomas gets a little bit worried because he's looking at the security cameras and the cops actually stopped the car where he was actually killing Jim earlier because they're looking around at the skids. I mean, you see the skids up along the wall. So then the officers actually shine their flashlight up at the camera, and we see Thomas, grabbing at the desk a little bit. That's where the fire axe is now. Just like sitting there resting, being like, I could probably kill these guys. Then of course Thomas puts on Santa Baby as it's playing over the loudspeakers, and the cops come check on, be like, "So you haven't seen anything weird tonight at all? You're not throwing a party in there at all?" He's like, "Nah, just me and my dog. Can't have anyone over here at this time of hour. I get fired for my job." And that the whole time we see Angela is inside the trunk of the car still, and she's actually got a tire iron, and she's like beating at the lock and just trying to actually get out of the trunk of the car. And then we see Thomas being like, "Hey, I gotta unlock that gate. I'll go use the stairs. I'll meet you guys there, okay?" And then we see the cops at the gate waiting for Thomas to unlock it, and Angela is slowly walking towards that area, being like, "Wait, don't leave yet, please, officers." Then Angela just comes right to that part of the garage. We see the gate coming down, the officers drive away, and then Thomas walks into the scene with Rocky, and we just see her holding that crowbar in hand, or tire iron, I should say, in hand, as Rocky's getting ready to look like he's about ready to munch on somebody. And we see Angela running through the parking garage, and of course, Thomas, being the asshole that he is, he actually lets Rocky off of the leash, and we see Rocky pursuing after Angela. So Angela gets to this part where there's a couple other cars, and she breaks out one of the back door windows and gets into the car and hides on their side. But Rocky jumps through the window towards her, and of course we see a very brutal scene of her murdering the dog with a tire iron, which I wasn't expecting to see at all. So that was shocking, to say the least. So we see her then walking up to this other building that's inside the parking garage, and it's like Empire State Rent-A-Car business. So that's why she broke into that car. It's like one of the rent-a-cars. So apparently there's been like cars that you can rent in this parking garage the whole goddamn time. I don't know why she didn't go there sooner, but anyway, she gets inside the building. She tries to open the door, uses the phone to call for 911 or help, and of course it's like an answering service that answers the phone. But you could have grabbed some keys and probably took off in one of those vehicles and broke down that gate, but that's just my point of view. So we actually see her pry open the box that has all the car keys inside. She grabs a car key, and then we see her drop to the ground because we see a bite mark on her calf, and it's from Rocky. Rocky. And then we see Thomas walking through with his flashlight looking to try and find them. And that's when he sees the broken glass in the back window of the one car and looks in. He's like, oh, Rocky, what happened to you, buddy? What happened? So then Thomas is like, why'd you kill my dog? He's just an animal. Why did you hurt my dog? Why did you do that, Angela? I mean, to be fair, the dog was trying to kill her. So, like, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. But I wasn't expecting that at all. So Thomas is getting pretty pissed off at Angela. He's looking around. His flashlight hits the rent-a-car window where he sees some blood on the door. So he walks inside. And of course, Angela is nowhere to be found. But the phone's still off the hook. And finally, someone actually picks up on the other end because apparently all the 911 receivers were all busy. So then we hear someone on the phone be like, hello, if you're still there, just tap the phone, do something, anything, let me know you're still there. And Thomas just slowly hangs the phone back up. We see Angela's hiding in like the back storage room of this rent-a-car agency. And inside a locker, we see like this little white fabric of her dress that's bloody laying out of it. So Thomas is like, she's in there. So he opens up the door, and behind, out of nowhere, Angela pops out with some kind of spray and just sprays him right in the face, and he's having a really hard time now. But now Angela runs out to the parking garage, and it's got the keys, and she's like beeping all these keys, being like, come on, one of these cars got a long lock for me. One of these cars got to do something. Angela finally gets a car that's actually running, gets inside of it. It's like a little Pontiac Sunfire by the looks of it. But she's having a real hard time because the music's like blasting her face, so she turns down, and then she's like freaking out as she's trying to drive through the parking garage because she's like scraping all the sides of the walls and just freaking out the whole damn time as she's trying to escape. Rightfully so, of course. We see her flooring it right towards that gate just to try and break through, but of course out of nowhere, Thomas comes out of nowhere with his car and like smashes the front of her Sunfire. But the Sunfire is still going, rightfully so. You know, it's still got some juice left in it, so she reverses it and tries to get away from him. So now we have like a standoff between the two of them. We have Thomas on one end of the parking lot, and then we have Angela on the other end, and he's just revving his engine at her, and it's like, you're in like a Cutlass, and she's in a beat up freaking Sunfire now, so my money's kind of not on the Sunfire, even though it should be. So Angela's driving full force right towards Thomas, and Thomas actually gets scared and veers off to the side, and she keeps going, but she then loses control of the car, hits the beam as it rolls a couple times in the parking garage. So Thomas finally shows up to the crash scene, and the horn for that Sunfire is just going off because Angela's face is on the steering wheel, of course, for it. So then Thomas is like, Angela, come on, just let me help you. And he's trying to help her out of the car, and she actually stabs him in the eye with something. I'm not sure what it was. Maybe it was a car key. I don't really know. But then, she gets on his back and starts choking him out as he's like, trying to grasp for air, but it's deserving because he's an asshole. She actually chokes him out enough that she's able to handcuff him to the door of the Sunfire, and we actually see the car is actually leaking gas, and she picks up that taser that he had, and he's now awakening, and he's like, come on, get your ass over, get me unhandcuffed from this car now. Angela, do it now. And then Thomas tries to give the little sad thing. He's like, Angela, I just want to be friends. I'm just always alone. I never have anyone. Can't we just spend some more time together and be friends, please, Angela? Then Angela's walking away because she doesn't want to deal with Thomas's shit. And Thomas calls her a see you next Tuesday, and that gets Angela's attention. So she starts walking back towards Thomas, and then she leans down because she sees the gas trailing towards her, and she just sparks the gas on the garage floor, and the whole fire just starts to engulf towards Thomas, and she's like, Merry Christmas, Thomas. We see Thomas getting engulfed in flames as he's screaming for his life, and then the whole car goes up in flames, and of course there's a little car explosion as well, and Thomas is finally dead. Then the sprinkler system for the garage comes on, and we see Angela slowly hobbling over to that gate. She's got Thomas's keys as well, and the gate finally starts to go up, and she's finally able to escape the parking garage. We see her walking down the street, and we see a bunch of sirens, and I'm not sure if they're fire trucks or ambulances or whatnot coming down the street towards her. I'm assuming because the sprinkler system's going off in the garage, it sent an alarm. But we see a bunch of fire trucks now getting closer and closer as she's walking down the sidewalk as it's snowing. And then the outro credits start to play, and that's the end of the movie. And I gotta say, I actually enjoyed that movie. I thought, I like movies that are set in one setting. So the fact that this just takes place kind of in the office and then takes place for the majority of the movie be in the parking garage area, which I thought was kind of weird that there's a rental car service inside the parking garage, but I guess it's just a high-end business, so it probably makes sense. I wouldn't know damn shit about any of that crap, so who knows? Could make sense. Probably does. I wouldn't know. It's New York City, so it probably makes sense. But yeah, I thought it was a really good movie. I enjoyed it a lot. And it doesn't have like a high aspect of Christmas to it, but it does start out with that Christmas movie setting, and then the music, of course, does help it out a lot as well, and the Santa suit and whatnot. So I definitely enjoyed this movie a lot. I think you should definitely check it out. Add it to your Christmas horror movie list watch at least once. On the Rotten scale of 10, I'm getting a solid, I think, 6.5 out of 10. I thought it was really well done, and I enjoyed it. So definitely go check it out. As for what we're going to be watching next week, we're going to watch another newer movie. Actually, it's a new movie. It just came out like a couple weeks ago, actually, to be honest with you guys at this point in time. So you might be spoiled definitely on this one, but I've watched it once and I want to watch it actually again because I was watching it during family time, so I wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention, so we'll pay more attention now that it's podcast time. We're gonna watch Dear Santa, starring Jack Black, because it's about this kid who doesn't really know how to write properly, and instead of writing a letter to Santa, he writes it to Satan, and then Satan tries to be Santa and grant this kid 3 wishes. It's an interesting movie. I thought it was fun, so hopefully you guys will check that one out next week. And as always, check out the outro band, Toronto-based horror band Blood Opera. All their links will be down below, but you can find them on Instagram, Facebook, SoundCloud. The main thing being Spotify, of course. So definitely go check them out on Spotify. Like some of their music, share some of their songs. I'm sure they would highly appreciate it. And as always, check out all my outro links below. I don't know why I said it like that. Check out all my social media accounts down below. That's what I meant to say. I'm going to leave this in the podcast because I'm tired. It's midnight. Go check out all my accounts. Find me at all social media accounts at Typhonstein. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on Threads. We're on X. We're on TikTok. We're on YouTube. Definitely go check out the YouTube channel. Got the weekly game video dropping every Wednesday. Various short videos. We go do live streams over there when it decides it wants to work properly for me. And we also do live streams over on Twitch. So definitely go check it out on Twitch as well. And like I said, I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed because I gotta be up in like
4 or 5 hours. So we're gonna call it a night, and I will eventually call it a night. I still got a couple things I want to get done beforehand. So I'll talk to you guys all later. Peace.